who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing. This is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Faye, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined by Tom Campbell, our Chief Creative Director. You say hello at this point.
Hello.
It's very early in the morning.
It might be shooting early this morning.
Wake up, Tom!
And James St. James, literary sensation, editor of the Wow Report, of course.
Thank you. Hello, darling.
Hello. So I'm calling this week's episode the final countdown. We're coming to you live for now, right? From our Hollywood Boulevard adjacent studio. I was thinking maybe we should go back in the basement, because it's a
Fallout shelter.
Fallout shelter. One shouldn't
is
joke.
that what we're talking about? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, for all its faults, I really liked this planet, and I'll be sad to see it go.
Oh, God.
My Facebook feed this morning was everyone was like, "I'm glad to wake up," or I've dreaded tweeting.
Yes, Trump and his ever-escalating, war of words with Kim Jong-un.
But here we are with our weapon of mass distraction. Just pull that out.
Nice.
The countdown of the top 10 things that made us go
Wow.
This week. Let's do it without further ado. Number 10, Tom.
Number 10.
In a week that's full of sad, desperate, awful, raging, warful words, my eye was caught, I think your guys too, by an 8-year-old drag queen.
Oh, yeah.
Named Lactacia. Now, Lactacia first sort of passed my feed when she showed up at a Bianca Del Rio concert. And Bianca Del Rio kind of called her out. And that's cute. And you think, well, that's the drag world. And I mean,
it was in Toronto, right? It was somewhere in Canada. And Bianca pulled her up on stage. They had a little back and forth. It was adorable.
And it was adorable. And you think this is great. And we know from DragCon and things that a lot of young fans. So it's like, that's great. And then Elle magazine, Elle.com, did this beautiful video where they talked to, his name is Nemus. He goes by Lactacia, but just recently he changed to Lactacia because he was going by Peaches Demure originally.
I love Peaches Demure.
I like that too.
I love his timeline because he's 8 years old and he has all this past.
Right, he has a backstory.
Yes, supposedly, at 2, his mother said he came to her with a Mrs. Potato Head earrings and said, "Do my makeup." And they took a duck face picture. And then at 3 or 4, he remembers wearing his sister's tutus. And then at 7, a whole year ago, he started watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
This kid is going to be over by 10.
Right? He's going to be a jaded old queen by 10.
And so you go to L.com and see it. And we'll post it on the worldofwonder.net/Radio Andy. But he's adorable and he has so much attitude. He's beautiful. He looks a little bit like a beautiful Taylor Swift. The red lip and the pale skin. Jessica, his mom, is also interviewed.
She seemed. I've seen her interviewed before when they went to Kinky Boots. There was a video where he went backstage and met all the queens at Kinky Boots. And the mother seems really interesting. This time he was interviewed by one of our girls, right?
Well, at the end of the L.com video, I don't think I'm spoiling anything too much, Vivacious shows up. And Vivacious is one of her, it's kind of Easter egg colored, but it's crazy Vivacious, bodysuit with pops. And what, it's funny because kids are so good with the camera. They're so good on the YouTube. And that moment of surprise, because I think Vivacious really did surprise him, he was just like, he's all like, "I came to slay, not to play." And then it's like, Vivacious is here. And Vivacious was so sweet. And little Lactacia summed it all up. And she said, if you're shy because people who don't want you to do something, then you have to just man up and be like, okay, I'm not listening to you. I can do what I want. And this is what I want to do.
Power to Lactacia.
From the mouth of babes.
Lactacia for president 2034.
Do we know the Lactacia, the name, anything about?
I'm imagining
milk type thing.
It was
dairy.
Milk.
It was a sense memory from when he was still on the breast, which wasn't too long ago.
And this sparks in me a little story that happened to me personally this week, which is my longest personal relationship is with my housekeeper, Teresa. She has been with me since 1990 in all of my places. And she sometimes brings her grandchildren. She used to bring her children. Now she brings her grandchildren. And she has one nephew who I've seen every now and then. I'm not always there when she's there. And he's very flamboyant.
Yeah.
And he's a dancer. And Teresa will show me pictures where he has his foot over his head, like this. And sometimes he would leave notes because Teresa's English is a little broken, but we communicate. And when he would leave a note in perfect penmanship and perfect English with attitude, like, "Would you please leave quarters for my grandmother? She'd appreciate it kindly." And so I always kind of knew, but he's like, I don't know, he's in his.
But you never talked about it.
His mid-teens, and she said, "Tom." She goes, who was here?" And she's pointing to my TV stand, and I had my Entertainment Weekly RuPaul cover there, and she goes, her nephew was so into RuPaul, and I said, Teresa, who I've been with since 1990. I work with RuPaul. She's like, no. I go, yes. She goes, oh, he has to talk to you. He has to talk to you. And I finally said in this weird moment, and Teresa and I have talked, we've been through a lot, life and illness and things. And I said, your nephew, he's like me, right? And she said, yeah, he is.
Oh,
I know, it really made me.
It's so moving.
Because she has been in my stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like through the good days and the bad days, she knows what goes on.
Also, when you're not there, going through your drawers.
Yes, believe me, there were times when things were left behind, and and so I let it go. I was very touched, and we started talking again. I said, he's. I said, Teresa, I don't want to pry, but he's gay, right? And she goes, yes, he's gay.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant.
I did, but I just didn't know if it was sort of I said, is he gay? She goes, yes. Right. I go, is everyone okay with it? She goes, oh, yes. Oh, yes. She goes, we hug, we love. And I'm telling you, it made me just cry. And I called my sister on my way to work, and I told her the story. And my sister had the sweetest response in a way. She goes, Tom, we didn't know. Like when I was young. We didn't know. No, we didn't know what it was, though. We didn't know. No, but she took it like I was telling her this joyous story, and she was taking it as like
a critique.
Yes, and I said, "Oh my God!" And I stopped, and it felt so good to be like, "Oh, I didn't mean that at all." We all didn't know. We didn't have a word for it. We didn't have role models for it. So anyway, all of that on the face of this, I think that's why something like this resonates so strongly, because part of me is like, oh, a 7-year-old in drag, and then it's like an 8-year-old.
No,
it's like,
it's
no,
brilliant.
yeah,
exactly. I mean, really, it is all superhero origination stories, and you can't start too early to be your own superhero, right?
It. And who has to go to Marvel when you can be your own?
Exactly.
I love it. Anyway, that's the.
Watch out for Lactacia, soon to be world famous. Watch out, Tay. Lactacia's coming for you, right?
Yes. Is Lactacia coming to DragCon?
Yeah, let's hope so.
Lactacia, if you're here.
Lactacia,
come. Open invitation.
Open invitation number 9.
Number 9.
Well, it's a perfect segue because the children are the future, and I do have to say that I have been thinking a lot about children and kids, the gay kids today and everything. There's a new super ultra mega viral video that has been racing through the internet. It broke the internet the other day. It's called In a Heartbeat. It's an animated short film about a little boy whose heart literally cannot be contained in his chest when he sees this other cute little boy walking down the path, and it's
literally leaves his heart.
His chest. His heart literally jumps out of his
breaks
heart.
Away, breaks free,
and goes to the little boy. It's over the course of 3 minutes. It's very short. What happens is the heart goes to the little boy, and they sort of struggle back and forth, and the heart breaks.
Well, it breaks, doesn't it? Because they're caught in their moment.
Yes.
And the disapproving looks of everybody around them. Spoiler alert. It's
no,
still worth
no,
watching.
no,
oh my God.
I've done it again.
No.
The disapproving looks causes they're pulling up the.
And it's about the heart coming back together again, and it's so beautiful, and you can't watch it without sobbing. It's
Did you sob?
I did sob. It's the brainchild of 2 college students from Ringling College in Florida. It's an arts and design school.
Ringling College, as in the circus.
It is in the circus. There was a Ringling College for clowns for many, many years, and then it sort of morphed into it's not a clown college anymore. It's an
Thank
arts
God,
and,
right?
Benton is obsessed with clowns, to be talked about another day.
We're
going to do a whole clown episode. Okay.
It's Beth David and Esteban Bravo,
Yes.
and they were 2 students who were working on their thesis project, and this was it. And at first it was going to be straight boy, and then they decided to make it gay, and and it kept growing and growing, and they ended up doing they needed like orchestration and stuff, so they did a Kickstarter, and they only wanted $2,000. They ended up getting like $20,000 or something like that, and they have managed to put this out into the world and got an A on their thesis for it. And people are saying, that it should get Oscars, that it should,
I think it will. I think it's got a good chance.
I don't know how. I mean, something.
Well, they have to release it theatrically, and I see. Yes.
We've got an old porn theater right here.
Yeah, come on.
We'll show it.
We'll first run it here.
It's really beautiful. If you haven't watched it, watch it. There was also afterwards something
that
called
was the kicker,
yes,
right?
Elders React. I don't know if you've ever seen these videos where kids react, and they show them like kids react to 80s videos and things like that. And
Two Girls, One Cup started this. Sorry. I took it there. Okay, edit that out. Go on.
We were very G for a long time there. But they have Elders React, and it's these old people watch the video, and you watch them watch it in real time as they're reacting to it. And their reactions were really beautiful because it's a lot of people who grew up in the 40s and 50s and 60s, and their reactions mostly were very positive. A couple of people said, I'm sure there were little boys who felt like that when we were growing up, but it was just completely unacceptable.
Right.
It wouldn't have been praised. They were saying that it wouldn't have been praised when they were growing up. It would have been more like, what's wrong with you people? You're perverts. Someone else said, I don't think we ever realized that relationships like that were going on, and if they were,
this is what my sister said. We didn't
know.
know.
We
didn't know.
exactly.
We didn't have a word for it. We didn't have vocabulary.
And then one really old guy said, young people now accept so many things that the olders could not open their minds to accept, and it's a brand new day now. And it really, watching them really chokes you up because you see how far we've come. That something like this, that the kids are watching this on the computer and don't realize that it's how
right.
like just.
And that's also,
groundbreaking
in a way, that is also magical.
It's
it
so
really
beautiful.
proves how far we come that people aren't aware of the history. It's like
Yes.
they can just be in it and enjoy it. There's good things to that.
And when I watch it, like I just think like the little boys that I had crushes on and everything, and Andre Borello, Scott Awad, I remember you all, Mark Kelly.
Okay, James.
We should reach out to those two filmmakers
Yeah.
and thank them and see if there's something we can do with
Let's
them.
do
They're
it.
like amazing that
I'm
their
sure Hollywood
project.
is already called.
Yeah, I suppose.
But it's like I said, it's we've come so far, and it's just such a beautiful thing. And if you haven't watched it, watch it.
Number 8.
Okay. Number 8, Sharknado 5.
Finally, because my next one's kind of trashy too. I'm glad you changed the
Global
tone.
swarming. I couldn't keep up with this. Like high emotional, sincere.
Try to be sincere about sharks. See if you can add
This
some.
is an extraordinarily moving and touching tale of sharks running amok.
Hey, wait, I have some
Sharks
questions.
exacting their revenge. Actually, I mean, okay, you have a question, yeah.
Well, because I saw Sharknado 1. I was right
Right.
there for Sharknado.
Right.
I didn't see 2, 3, and 4. So I was a little out of the loop. Why does Tara Reid have superpowers?
I was hoping, James, you were going to explain, because I too watched Global Swarming Sharknado 5. I couldn't really figure out what the F was going on. I saw Sharknado 1. I think I even saw a couple more, but there's been some sort of leap into
the Sharknado universe.
Into the
Into
Sharknado.
the
We've gone through some kind of portal into a true sci-fi. I mean, it makes sense. It's on sci-fi.
Yeah.
But yes, Tara Reid has superpowers
At
in
one
this.
point, she reaches up and grabs a helicopter by its landing
course
gear
she does,
and
yes.
throws it, and you're like, why is Tara Reid
At
throwing
one
helicopters?
Tara Reid, the actress, has superpowers now. That's the difference.
Oh,
It's not a character thing.
Ian Ziering, who's been in every single one of the Sharknadoes, and Tara Reid too, returned to defend the world from this bizarre weather circumstance, traveling to Europe, Egypt, Vegas, basically everywhere. I mean, it's shot all over the world.
Well,
And
in
Is
the
it
very
really, or is it
beginning-
all in Canada?
I think it's all green screen and
No, but it did seem like
archive.
it had a bigger budget because there was. I mean, they really did have helicopters that they were throwing around and everything.
Well, a lot of it was CGI, wasn't it? But the sort of
yeah, I hope.
the premise.
I mean, all the sharks in the tornado.
The premise of this seems to be that there's some sort of portal. You know, I love a little bit of Egyptology. You know,
Oh.
so they go into the pyramid and there's a switch, as there probably is in all the pyramids somewhere, that turns on and off the Sharknado
I didn't make
phenom.
it that far into it.
Oh well, so the Sharknado this time is a sort of whooshing tornado thing that's actually shaped like a mega shark. It's sort of got Godzilla-esque qualities. So it's like a swarm of sharks forming up a huge giant shark, and Ian Ziering is there with his chainsaw. I mean, it's really good. I actually think that the whole, like some academics have done things about vampires and that the hysteria of the Victorian age and blood-sucking was this sort of pent-up desire for intimacy. Or that Frankenstein.
I was going to say,
You
with
know, the monster
electricity
made out of parts, the
and
electrification of our culture and the fear of a monster. I think if you look at all 5 Sharknadoes, you totally have this sort of
Trumpian
American
analogy
going off the deep end into fantasy land. Because the Sharknado premise to begin with, which is a tornado with sharks in it, is crazy.
Two things that go great together.
And then you just up the crazy.
Yes.
Keep upping the crazy. And it was almost impossible to follow.
But one of the great things about it is that it manages to loop in every single has-been, every single D-list, C-list.
There were 80 cameos in this. In the Sharknado 5, 80 cameos.
And I got to say that Tom Daly, all of a sudden, out of the blue, just runs up to the London Bridge and says, "I'll be safe in the water." And he jumps in the water, and that's his cameo.
Right.
And then they're looking for the Queen of England, and all of a sudden, it's Charo is the Queen of England, and they give her back her crown
and guess
that has
who
been
the Pope?
eaten by a shark.
Guess who the Pope is? Fabio, of course. Geraldo Rivera's Abby Lee Miller's in it, and she says everyone is replaceable. Chomp.
And they have Jordan, who is a London club kid personality.
Yeah.
They had a couple like club people in there. They also had Olivia Newton-John for you if you get a chance
with
to.
her daughter.
Yes,
She plays a scientist that somehow manages to reference many of her hit songs.
I love that.
It
sounds like Drag Race to me.
It kind of actually.
Well, can I just remind you that after the first Sharknado, I'm spilling some inside World of Wonder things. We pitched to Sci-Fi. We were on the phone with someone, and we said, drag queens versus zombies. Let's do it. They're like, well, we're not really doing campy things anymore. It's like Sharknado 5.
This is proprietary. I've figured out how to do that movie and how to do it cheap. So, Drag Queens vs. Zombies coming to theaters soon. I will just say, though, that, by the way, back in the day, the first Sharknado, $1 million, shot in 18 days, was a sequel to Stonado, when the Earth is pelted with stones, and that wasn't a hit.
Yeah.
But Sharknado, no one really knows why Sharknado connected. I mean, truly. I mean,
it's one of those things that it's so insane, and it just keeps upping the insanity every time.
Sci-Fi have done insane movies for a long time.
They've been doing a lot of the really strange ones. There was Giant Ants one.
Yes,
there
but
was,
why Sharknado? Explain to me.
I think it's Tara. I really think it's people love Tara Reid. But also, I just want to say the beauty of it is that from the moment it starts until the moment it ends, there is never any exposition. There's never any.
I had a hilarious
downtime.
meeting.
Story.
Had a hilarious pitch meeting recently at a network, keep it nameless, and they said the thing is, we're not really into telling stories. We need things that are constantly igniting. That is the Sharknado constantly
there is never
igniting.
A
series
moment
of
that lets
dumpster
down.
fires.
Exactly.
And and I'm gonna bring it right back to Dunkirk because it follows the Dunkerkian.
That is constantly igniting without context, without
you were just landed in the middle of this war and you completely move on, and there's no time to stop and breathe.
And I will just add that the lead role was originally offered to John Stamos, Fred Durst, Crispin Glover. Ian Ziering came on board when they offered him $100,000 and healthcare.
Amen.
Yeah,
I do know that there has
and they
been
changed the title to Dark Skies. He wouldn't do Sharknado. Changed the title to Dark Skies, then the studio changed it back before they released it.
There has been some discrepancy with Tara Reid because Ian gets 5 times the amount of money that she gets.
Right.
And there has been some legal back and forth.
It says Blake saying to
give
it a
Blake's getting carpal tunnel
we're going
doing
to take
like
a
this.
break. You can watch Sharknado on sci-fi.com. So our question, let's see what the question
Trivia
is.
question time.
What actor from the first Sharknado film died just 2 weeks prior to the premiere of Sharknado 5? Okay. This is Wow Report on Radio Andy, SiriusXM. We'll have the answer right after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Welcome back to the Wow Report on SiriusXM. So we're counting down the top 10 things that make us go
wow.
This week, as usual, I'm here with Tom Campbell, James St. James, I'm Fenton Bailey, and our millennial producer,
Blake. Hi. Oh my God, he gets to introduce himself.
So, the question was, we were talking about Sharknado 5, and I hope this is Sharknado 6, but the question was, what cameo actor, what person who had a cameo in the first film passed away just before Sharknado 5?
I think it's Abe Vigoda, also known as Fish. Get it, Fish? Sharknado.
Oh.
Abe Vigoda. That's what I'm doing. I'm locking my answer. Final answer.
Elizabeth Taylor. I don't know.
Who is it?
I don't know.
It was the extremely talented character actor John Hurd.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
Was he in Sharknado 5?
No, he was just in the first one, I believe.
That's a proud final credit for
Right?
The great John
It's
Hurt.
up there with Joan Crawford and Trog.
And Blake, I'm curious. It says who was not in Sharknado 5? Charo,
She was, we
Downtown
talked
Julie Brown,
Probably
was in it.
not.
Margaret Cho,
Margaret Cho was in it.
yeah, Katie Price.
Katie Price is Jordan, who was the club kid.
about it. So it's Downtown Julie
Yeah.
Brown.
Wow.
No, they were all in it.
Ah, that's so good.
Boy.
You.
Blake's been a little disgruntled lately. I don't know if anyone's noticed it. He's acting out in ways.
I love it. Number 7.
Number 7.
Siesta Key on MTV. Who's seen it? You have seen it?
No, I
You haven't seen it.
I am dying to hear
Blake,
all about.
I've seen it.
You've seen it. Okay, we'll talk. It's their attempt. MTV is kind of taking on a lot of retro programming. TRL is coming back, Total Request Live, and Siesta Key is their new Laguna Beach. And it centers all around hunky, good to look at, a little dead behind the eyes, Alex. Now, Alex is...
Wait, Siesta Key is in Florida.
It's
sorry.
in Florida.
Yes,
It's
okay.
the richest community known to man. It's a little Jersey Shore because they're old enough to drink, and it's a little bit of Laguna Beach.
Gotcha.
And Alex in a love triangle with girls who I can't tell apart, probably because I'm gay, but they are all blonde. I mean, give me a blonde, give me a brunette, give me a redhead. You know what I mean?
Blonde girls of a certain age are all pretty.
I'm not like that.
And the Florida girls.
They all
of a
have Southern
yes.
fried.
Yeah, but it's Juliet, who's certainly dating him, Madison, who's his ex-girlfriend, and then there's this other girl, Kelsey. It starts off, the first episode ends with the shocker that this one girl who narrates it, what's her name?
Chloe.
Chloe has been punched in the nose.
What?
So
I
it's
don't like girls named Chloe.
Well, the nose part is what I was looking
Chloe
at.
7, if you're listening.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chloe 7.
Exception to the
Oh,
rule.
there's always exceptions.
And Chloe Latanzia.
But and the reason that, and you were like, why is a guy the lead of an MTV show, a soap opera? It seems like it should be a girl. And Alex is hot in pictures. It's the Instagram world we live in, right? Where it's like, oh my God, they're so hot, but you hear him talking like, I'll just scroll by and look at the next one.
Can we look at the picture?
But his father, Gary, is the founder of a successful medical and legal referral service called 1-800-ASK-GARY, and he's super rich, and he financed the pilot. So he brought down TV producers.
That's the future.
Did a pilot and then sent it to MTV, and MTV got involved, and they kind of put some of the Laguna Beach people into it. Now, it's I've watched 2 episodes, so they won. But you watch it, and what do you think, Blake? It's like, what are you thinking?
I mean, I will watch it. I will watch the 3rd episode, but it's not nearly as good as The Hills or
No,
Laguna.
and they seem really stilted.
You can tell that he wanted to be on a reality show or something.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
thirsty.
Yeah.
And there's a controversy because Alex, I mean, they're rich. Or he's rich anyway, and they have boats, and they live this life. I mean, kind of obnoxious. But Alex's friend was the one, it was a viral video, it's horrible, of a bunch of yahoos dragging a shark behind the speedboat.
Oh, right, that PETA went bananas over a few months ago.
So now Alex has death threats, so they had to cancel the screening. Also, so Alex is like, I wasn't there, I didn't do that.
Douchebaggery all around.
A little bit. But then on Alex's Instagram, I think he's taking a lot of it down, there was pictures of him with like a gun and a shark, and he goes, I have mistreated animals. He's like, I was young, I'm going to learn from those things.
But that is Florida right there too. Though it's a hunting, fishing state. It's a big.
I know.
There's.
But the little, and I'm getting the wrap up. But like the gem, sort of like when irritant gets into a clam and it turns into a pearl. The pearl of
that's
this.
a beautiful analogy.
The pearl of this is Spencer Pratt is doing recaps. I think for
Oh,
Cosmo.
that's fun. I love Spencer. He's redeemed himself lately, hasn't he?
And he's convinced that Kelsey, who's this girl who's come back, who's Monica, is a producer plant. That she's there. She's a producer plant. He has all these conspiracy theories.
Well, you see, that's where it could go, right? Into a sort of meta comeback.
Right.
The Sharknado of Siesta.
Sharknado.
But
it's funny that Spencer Pratt is now like the elder statesman of reality television.
Yes. And he's Chloe, who does the voiceover. He goes, I never thought there'd be a voice that hurt my ears as much as Lauren Conrad's. But Chloe is almost making me not despise Lauren Conrad's narration. That's how bad her voice is. So it's really well written. It's like, Chloe's, he doesn't like Chloe at all.
But
he thinks that Chloe being punched was just her either covering up a nose job.
Oh.
Or she was drunk and fell down, and they just use it as story.
But wait, hold on. Is 2017 the time to be, celebrating rich kids being brats?
We'll see.
I mean, doesn't it feel like their heads are about to be on pikes anyway? That the revolution is coming, and that we don't need this type of television.
You may be right. The ratings are so-so. Blake and I are watching.
He says with Trump as president.
It's a hate watch.
It is.
Right.
It's a love to hate.
I guess that's a Trump presidency. It's a
Yeah,
hate watch.
exactly.
And this the last thing that the very insightful Spencer Pratt had to say is, I don't think anyone in the cast is rich. If Alex's dad was actually rich, he would never put his kid on the Siesta Key reality show. And there's some weird truth in that, right?
There is some weird truth, and it's like Fran Lebert said of Trump that he is the poor man's version of a rich man.
Right.
And that he's not
it's a
really
small penis
rich.
buying a big, a sports car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Siesta Key.
Okay, watch it on MTV, Mondays, 10/9 Central. Hey, James, number 6.
Number 6.
Well, that was entirely too heterosexual. I'm sorry. Let's gay this shit up again, okay?
Okay.
I watched Handsome Devil over the weekend.
Oh.
Handsome Devil was on the gay festival circuit when when Freak Show was, and everywhere I went, all the festival people kept saying, "You have to see Handsome Devil. You have to see Handsome Devil." It's a gorgeous LGBTQ coming of age story. It's two boys forced to live together in a dormitory in an Irish boarding school, and one of them is this sort of weirdo, and he's got bright orange hair and big ears, that sort of stick out, and he's really adorable.
Ginger.
And you know that he's gay because he has a giant poster of Dita Von Teese in his bed. And the other boy who comes in is this
So there's
wild.
only 2 boys in the dormitory?
No.
Oh,
in
okay.
a dorm room, in the room that they bunk together.
Right.
In
but
one
a
bedroom.
dormitory is like 13, 15 people in boarding schools.
Well,
Back in my day.
well,
just 2, right?
when I went to college, there was like 2 per room. I don't know. It must be a very wealthy one. I don't know what it is, but anyway.
You two need to work this out prior to being on air.
Don't say a thing.
Okay.
Tell us again about Irish boarding schools, Fenton. I'm all ears.
He supports Sharknado, and he finds fault in the vermicelli. Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway, the other boy is this wildly attractive rugby star who's got these gooey cow eyes and these like big juicy lips and this floppy hair. I sent you guys both a picture of him. He's absolutely wonderful. He's got these massive muscles. And of course, in the beginning, they don't get along, and then they become best friends with each other. And over the course of the movie, you start to think that that it's a love story, of course, and that at any moment they're going to fall into each other's arms, and the music is going to swell, and they're going to kiss and end credits. But that's not what happens at all. There's a twist, and it's really just the story of a gay friendship and the importance of gay friendship in teenagers. And they at one point they betray each other, and at another point they help each other, and they each help each other come out, and they like that. And it feels really modern, not to fall into that cliche of the football player and the little gay boy,
right,
and everything like that. And it brings me to, and because everything right now is Freak Show, and in my book it was the football player and the little drag queen, and they fall in love and everything. And then when it was made into a movie, Trudy took out the love story and just turned it into a straight boy who is best friends with this little drag queen and helps the drag queen. And when I was upset about it, she said, James, it just feels more modern not to have the little gay boy chasing after the straight boy. It feels like we've moved beyond that, and that and I didn't understand it at the time, and I was really hurt. But watching this, it made me think, oh, we have moved beyond that. We don't. Every gay movie doesn't need to fall into that same trap again of being a love story. And this is just the story of 2 gay friends, and it's really refreshing and it's really beautiful.
But, people falling in love, if you're gay, it isn't a trap.
No. But
I know that's not what you're saying.
No, but we have just seen that movie many, many times of a gay love story of teenagers coming out, blah 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 blah. And this you think it's going in that direction, and then at the end of it, I was like, wait. Were they boyfriends? Like that, and I had to go back and read some of the articles, and everyone was saying, how groundbreaking it was, that it was just the story of gay friendship, which is a viable story to tell as well.
I've heard from you and a couple of friends that it's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix, yeah?
Yeah, and like I said, it's about rugby. A lot of it is about this rugby game. And you think, like, I don't know, rugby isn't even a real...
I played rugby at boarding school.
But it's not even a real sport, I mean, it's...
It's just hugging. It's like hugging in shorts. It's like field
part
hugging.
Football, part soccer.
Hugging.
They just sort of throw the ball around.
Okay. You can stream Handsome Devil on Netflix.
Number 5.
Well, there isn't a movie about this yet, but there really should be. I love a conspiracy. I have a sweet tooth when it comes to conspiracy. I'm sorry. I love them. I love them because they're so preposterous and unreal. But this one, is Baron Trump a time traveler? Okay, so
I saw this headline. I did not click the article.
It all begins with Tesla. And Tesla, of course, today is known really as a brand of electric car. But in his day, Nikola Tesla was a Serbian inventor who was famous for coming up with alternating current. That's how we get our electricity today.
And he was a rival of Thomas Edison.
Absolutely.
And in the coming centuries, Thomas Edison's stock has risen, and Tesla has sort of been forgotten.
He was
by
also the
history.
first to propose wireless communication, X-rays, and radio remote control. I mean, the guy was a genius, but as James says, slightly just pushed to the side, and perhaps there's no surprise, has become the sort of grand central of conspiracy theories, because he supposedly invented much more than these things. He supposedly invented technologically viable, pollution-free, no-cost energy, which, of course, conspiracy theorists say couldn't possibly be allowed. How could we have free energy? Couldn't be clean, free, clean energy. He also supposedly invented a magical wall, a means whereby an impenetrable wall of force can be erected around the United States borders, which would render helpless any military attack. Okay, so you see where I'm going with it. And he also supposedly invented a time machine.
Yes.
Okay, so when he died in 1943, the U.S. government seized all his papers. This is true.
Yes.
And they couldn't understand them, right?
Right.
So who do you think they got to look at the papers?
Stephen Hawking.
Thomas Edison.
Elon Musk.
Baron Trump.
John Trump.
Oh.
And who was John Trump?
Who was John Trump?
Donald Trump's uncle. Yes.
Well, wait, was he a scientist? Was he
yes, apparently he was a brilliant scientist.
Wait, there's some intelligence in that family tree?
So a long story. Yes, Donald Trump's always talking about how he has good genes. It's a little sort of eugenically unfortunate.
I thought he was talking about his.
Hey, it's Jordash's.
It's
So the
Calvin
long
Klein.
story short of this thing is that Donald Trump is a time traveler, and he's gone into the future. He saw the world devastated by Islamic terror, and he knew that the only way to avert the future was, of course, to become president of the United States.
But wait, where does
This conspiracy theory is really doing the rounds on 4chan and Reddit and things
But
like
I know
that.
what you're about to bring in, and I'm going to ruin the.
Go ahead. I ruin your stories. You go ahead, ruin mine. Go on.
So
I dare you.
Fenton,
Ruin
how,
it.
Fenton, how does this tie into
Well,
the 19th century book about Baron Trump?
So then we have to consider this, a trilogy of books written by Ingersoll Lockwood in the 1890s called The Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump. These books really do exist. 3 novels. You can get them on the National Archives. You can download them. And there you go. And little Baron Trump, who's living in Castle Trump, decides to... He cannot make this up. I'm not making it up. He pays a visit to Russia. He finds a time machine and travels to the future. That is in these novels.
And with his best friend Don, right?
Right, with his best friend Don. And in the last book, which is called The Last President, right? Hold it up, James. He arrives back in New York City on November 3rd. The city is in an uproar following the election of an enormously opposed outsider candidate. And the location on Fifth Avenue where all the rioters are congressing is exactly where Trump Tower is today. Yes. I mean, crazy, right? Crazy. I don't know what to...
Where do you go with that?
Where do you go with that? There's
it-
no gay love story?
What's Melania got to do with it?
Oh, well, one of the threads that I did read is that Ivanka, in fact, he was dating in the future or in the past. Trump was dating Ivanka. So he managed to change things around.
Ivanka or Melania?
Ivanka. He managed to change things around so that Ivanka, in real time, in the altered timeline, became his daughter. That's why he says he'd be dating her if she wasn't his daughter.
Oh, because in another timeline, he was dating her.
Yeah, exactly. Thank
yes. And where do the clowns, the time-traveling clowns that I theorized, fit into this? Remember the clowns who were trying to warn us against voting for Donald Trump
Well,
back in
apparently
November?
there are a number of time travelers out there at this point, all trying to fix the timeline and prevent disaster. But, according to the conspiracy theory, Donald Trump is a hero. Baron Trump is the future savior.
Is there a chance that the Trumps read this crap and name their kids after them and stuff like that?
No, because interestingly, we just learned today that Trump doesn't do the internet.
No,
He's never on the internet. He doesn't have a
books.
computer, and twice a day he gets passed a dossier of good news about himself. I do just want to point out one of the Tesla's other big inventions that people really don't know about is that he invented that thing in Frankenstein, the two rabbit ears, and Hollywood took that from Tesla and has used it in hundreds of movies.
Tesla was a sort of magician of lightning, and he would do shows where he would like hurl thunderbolts through the air. I mean, he was really a spectacular guy.
Yeah.
Okay. We have to take a quick break.
Yes.
Trivia question.
Yes.
What do Baron Trump and JFK Jr. have in common besides being sons of a U.S. president? You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy, SiriusXM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Okay, welcome back to the Wow Report, our countdown of the top 10 things that made us go
wow.
This week, I'm Fenton Bailey, here with Tom Campbell, James St. James, and Blake.
Hi.
So we were talking about Trump and Tesla and conspiracies. And so the question before the break was, what does little Baron Trump and JFK Jr. have in common beside being the sons of a U.S. president?
They both went to this. They're going to the same school. They're both going to Dalton.
Oh, that's a really good guess, actually.
I
I was going to say
Baron went
they're
to,
both dyslexic, I was going to say.
Oh, that's good.
they both have green eyes. I don't know.
Like,
Well, JFK Jr. was the last son of a president to live in the White House.
Oh.
That feels somewhat related to being son of a president, but okay.
Well, he was.
Well, there have been no male teens in the White House since then.
There have been presidents that have had sons, but none of them have lived in the White House.
And Amy Carter is considered a daughter.
Ah.
Oh. Burn Amy Carter. I love you.
I love Amy Carter.
I love the Carters. I love the
I do
Carters.
too.
I go for cheap jokes. You know me.
Hates the Carters.
you love a big shtick.
I do. Thank you.
Okay, so number 4, Tom.
Number 4.
This week, we lost Glen Campbell. 81 years old. What a life he led. Like a somewhat scandalous life.
Oh,
I don't think I know that much about. I know about Tanya.
Yes. I mean, he was, first of all, he was a son of a sharecropper. He was the 7th son of a 7th son.
Oh.
At 5 years old, they bought him like a $5 guitar from Sears. By 6, he was performing. 14, he quit school. He was like touring with his uncle's band. In 1960 or so, he landed in L.A. where he didn't know how to read music, but he was this master guitar player. And he became part of this, the Wrecking Crew, which were like Hal Blaine. If you ever read your album notes as a kid, it's all the studio musicians of note. They were on everyone's track. He supposedly by like 1963, he had recorded on 586 records. Jeez. And he played for underneath Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Nat King Cole, Elvis Presley, Ricky Nelson, the Beach Boys and Mamas and Papas. He was everything. And on top of it, he was so beautiful.
Oh, he was so handsome.
He had this cleft chin. Do you know Glen Campbell? You know more from the
I
Rhinestone
just
Cowboy,
know
right?
Rhinestone
He was
Cowboy.
really.
That's all I know.
He was like at a time when country music people weren't that attractive.
Yes.
He was.
Yes.
They weren't. They were sort of a little bucktooth and a little, but he was the one. He was the breakout star.
Huge crossover.
A pretty blonde, all-American Disney boy.
And somehow he was. Is that Vietnam time too? So he was kind of like establishment, but you could. I don't know. He would seem to be for everyone. He was young and beautiful, but also parents liked him. We had Glen Campbell albums. We used to say, my brother said that Glen Campbell was our 17th cousin in school. So we used to blow that over people. We figured it's probably true. It didn't matter. In '68, he was the first artist to win in the same year country and pop Grammys.
Yeah, he was one of those first crossover country
Gentle on My
stars.
Mind, and then I think by the time I get to Phoenix.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Webb, who's an amazing songwriter who wrote MacArthur's Park and also wrote Wichita Lineman, which to me is one of the most beautiful songs.
What is a lineman?
It's about a guy who works on like the electric line for the power company, and he's away from his wife or his lover for a long time.
I thought Wichita Lineman was Johnny Cash.
No.
Oh, okay.
And I need you more than want you, and I want you for all time. The Wichita Lineman is still on my mind. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Anyway.
But of course, it's Rhinestone Cowboy that is the one that I sob every time.
He got a television show. He became an American. He was in True Grit. John Wayne picked him. He became a movie star. It's just worth recap because you realize, oh my God, these people have such huge careers and lives. Yeah. And then in the 70s, I remember seeing an A&E bio about him years ago, and he said he did not draw a sober breath in the 1970s.
What?
He can't really remember any of the 1970s. He was just a big cocaine
That's me
addict.
in the 90s. Yeah.
70s, 80s, and 90s.
And then he lived to 81 is kind of amazing too, and he found God and all that kind of stuff. There was a scandal because he supposedly stole Mac. He was friends with Mac Davis, who was also a hottie from the 70s. And he stole his wife, but they were married for a brief time. He was married several times. But in his cocaine haze, and this is all allegedly, but in 1980, he and Tanya Tucker got together. And he was like 44 and hot because he was like, by this point, he had those big lamb chop and tight jeans and all that kind of stuff and cocaine thin, and he and Tanya recorded Dream Lover. I want a boy to long my own, I want a dream lover. But it was this great, it was what cocaine sex is like when you first get hot. He's like so good, but it ended very badly, very quickly. Supposedly he knocked out her tooth or something, like it ended really badly. But later in life he found this wonderful woman who became his wife. She stayed with him. He went public with his Alzheimer's, but he is best known for Rhinestone Cowboy, which is his biggest hit, mid-70s. And there's there's been a load of compromising on the road to my horizon. He didn't write it. He found that song. He always had great songs.
Wait, was Electric Horseman about him?
See, that's what I thought. That's what I always think
of.
It had to, I think they used that song, but it was
use
afterwards.
in there.
Yeah.
Right, because Rhinestone Cowboy inspired the film Rhinestone, right?
Yeah.
Which I was thinking of Electric Horseman, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Glen Campbell passed away Tuesday, 81, after a long battle with Alzheimer's.
Yeah, listen to some of his music. Go to your iTunes or Spotify.
So wonderful.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
James, number 3.
Number 3.
Well, I watched Descendants 2 on ABC the other week.
Remind me what that is.
It's a Disney show, and it was
it's a movie, right? Made for TV.
It's a movie, yeah.
Okay.
It premiered on Disney. It premiered simultaneously on Disney, ABC Family, Lifetime Movie Channel, Freedom, Freeform, XD.
Synergy, darling.
Yeah, it was out there. It's for the kids.
Mm-hmm. That's why you were there.
Yeah, I was right there. I hadn't seen Descendants 1.
I saw Descendants.
Okay, so I was a little out. I didn't really know what was going on. It took me about 5 minutes to figure out what the plot is. It's about the sons and daughters of Disney villains. Okay,
who go to a boarding school, right?
They're all,
boarding school seems to be the theme.
How many per room, Fenton?
Well, the first one, they're on an island where it's all the sons and daughters of the bad people, and they're all. And then Good King Ben comes and rescues them, and they all go to the good country, and they're all living in this good country and trying to be good people. Right? It's sort of where it starts off in this one.
Okay.
And there's a girl. Her name is Mal. She's the daughter of Maleficent, and she is trying to be good because she's dating Good King Ben, who is this sort of like Justin Bieber lookalike. He's really adorable. She's played by a girl named Dove Cameron, who's going to be a star. She is so fabulous. She's so beautiful. But she decides she can't. She really wants to go back to her evil roots, so she goes back to this island, and then everybody has to go back and save her. It's this whole convoluted story. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, that's not why I'm talking about it. I mean, it's not the story is so fabulous that we need to discuss it.
But thank you for giving us that little nugget of information.
Right.
It helps me.
It's these up-and-coming Disney stars, because Disney stars always do manage to break through. We've seen it with Brittany and Justin and Christina, and this is sort of the new generation of them. And there's a boy named Cameron Boyce who plays Carlos DeVille, Cruella DeVille's son. And he's got this bleach blonde hair, and he's got these big black roots, so he's sort of like doing the Cruella thing. And he's a skateboarder, and he's going to be a breakout star. He's really something. He has sort of a LGBTQ vibe about him. Nice. I don't know if that's where he is yet, but he feels very queer friendly to me. Boo Boo Stewart was in it, and Boo Boo,
Boo Boo Stewart is amazing from
the Twilight movies.
Yes,
Boo Boo has been on a track to be
Taylor, right?
Yes, he's been on a track to be famous for about 10 years now. He was discovered by Miley Cyrus. He's Native American. He's a good friend of Bird Running Waters, a good friend of yours. He it does a lot of anyway. He's in this, and he's 23 now. He's just beautiful. He's absolutely wonderful. There's I'm talking down here.
Oh no! What happened?
Let me see.
So it's
Thomas Doherty, who plays Harry Hook, Captain Hook's son, is in the books. Harry Hook is gay, and he has a big scene with Gaston's son. And then they took that out.
There's a book.
Yeah, there's Descendant books, and there's supposed to be a gay kiss that was going to happen, and Disney nixed that, which is online is very crazy.
Well, and all the fans were upset because they actually filmed the kiss and then cut it.
Yes,
maybe
yes.
too much tongue.
Right. And Disney has since come out and said that's not true, that the boys were just on set and started kissing, and people took pictures.
As happens.
Which is even more fabulous to me. There's a couple songs in there that are really good. There's like
it's a musical?
Yeah, it's a musical. And there's one song like
a lot of layers to this.
And like, there's one song about I like to be evil. That's really good. I don't know. There's like a lesbian anthem between the two girls about how the space between us, keeps getting. I don't know. It's really beautiful. There's some really great songs.
Nice.
But the interesting thing about this is that
Getting better and better.
is the costuming, okay? Because I don't know if you remember like Disney's Cinderella with Whitney Houston and Brandy.
Sure.
And it was the most 90s thing that has ever been filmed, that every outfit,
Yes.
every color scheme, every furniture was more 90s than the 90s ever were.
Right.
And this is more teens than the teens have ever been. Everybody has the purple hair and the silver lame, little hipster glasses and the dresses and the this and that. And it's sort of like, it reminds me of like 80s movies like Married to the Mob or Working Girl or like Pee-wee's Playhouse, that when you look back on it,
becomes like a fashion time capsule.
You think that's what the 80s were like, but the 80s really weren't that 80s. It was too ultra 80s. And this is something that like in 30 years, people will look back on this and think this is what the teens were really like, even though
And then they'll have a revival, and it will be a knockoff of a knockoff.
It'll be a knockoff of this extreme version that never really existed in real life.
Are you suggesting that we're teens and we dress like teens?
No, but if you remember in the 80s, like 90% of everybody was just normal.
Yeah.
And then there was like one or two people that had the big hair and like that. But when you look at 80s movies, like everybody in the background of every scene is like done like, the Cyndi Lauper video.
Okay.
And this is the same thing where like in 30 years, people are going to look back and they're going to think that everybody dressed like the Descendants, even though that we didn't.
They just like Club Kids.
Yes, yeah. It's very Club Kitty. The look is very, very Club Kitty.
So you can watch Descendants 2 in reruns on the Disney Channel or on the ABC Go app. So this brings us to number 2.
Number 2.
James, last week I think we had this set to about William Shakespeare because you didn't really love the William Shakespeare update.
Will.
Yeah, Will.
Well, I was given for my birthday, late birthday present, from my lovely friend Camille, who works at Disney, William Shakespeare's Star Wars by Ian Dosha. It's Star Wars rewritten in authentic-sounding Shakespeare. So it's William Shakespeare's Star Wars, Verily a New Hope.
That's fantastic.
Now, sharks and tornadoes coming together makes sense to me. Shakespeare and Star Wars is a bit of a stretch.
Okay. Scene 1, aboard the Rebel ship.
Tip. Just the tip. Just the tip.
Enter C-3PO and R2-D2. Now is the summer of our happiness, made winter by this sudden fierce attack. Our ship is under siege, I know not how. Oh, hast thou heard? The main reactor fails. We shall most surely be destroyed by this. Our warrant madness lies herein. R2-D2. Beep, 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 squeak, beep, 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 wee. C-3PO, we're doomed, etc., etc. Exeunt
they commit
C-3PO.
through a series of books.
The whole thing. And it's not just this book. There
It's all in
are
iambic
many
pentameter.
sequels. Yes. So we have The Empire Striketh Back. The Jedi Doth Return. The Clone Army Attacketh. The Tragedy of the Sith's Revenge. The Force Doth Awaken. So,
And Princess Leia, my cherished planet Alderaan hath failed, yet I have deep within my memory banks of our brave R2 unit stored the plans.
it's so fabulous.
Now,
right?
someone's going to say this is a great way for kids who love Star Wars to get into Shakespeare. What I see is a group of people going like, all right, we have to come up with a way to make $1 billion more this year at Disney. What works? What's the data say?
Well, it
Shakespeare, Star Wars. Shakespeare's free. We'll take it. We'll do it. We'll sell it. We'll make balloons out of it. We'll make umbrellas out of this. We'll just keep selling.
It does feel like it's probably better in the pitch than it is in the
Well, no, I
actual.
don't
It's
think
probably a bestseller.
I don't think it is a bestseller. In fact, there's 6 novels now, and the New York Times, the snooty New York Times said, well, if slings and arrows have to be replaced with laser blasts and tractor beams, so be it. And I think this guy Ian is kind of hot. I looked at his picture online. I did a little bit of cyber stalking.
Good.
And he was born 45 days after Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope was released.
Episode 4.
And he holds a bachelor's.
Oh my God!
I know, right?
Not
He
the
holds-
70s, the 80s.
right. He holds a bachelor's degree. Well, actually, the thing is, Star Wars Episode 4 was the original one. That's what I keep on forgetting.
okay.
Okay.
So
Thank
it's the
God.
70s. It's okay.
He is,
I
all
know.
right.
Phew.
Thought he was like a best-selling author.
The
He was
Phantom,
12.
yeah.
He holds a
Phantom
bachelor's
Menace.
degree in music from Yale University, a master of divinity from Yale Divinity School, and a PhD in theology from Union Theological. So he's a bright kid, right? And
No, he's cute. No, he's
and Quirk Books published these.
Not Hollywood,
and Quirk Books also published Seth Graham Smith's Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Oh, right.
So
And Abraham Lincoln Vampire Killer?
yes,
So it's not
probably,
owned by
yes.
Disney, am I wrong?
Well, I'm sure it must
owned by
be with
Disney.
arrangement by, but I don't think it was their idea. You can get Star Wars written in iambic pentameters by Ian Dosha on Amazon. Okay?
Well, that is fascinating.
Right. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Resistor of the Week,
Yes.
and we'll reveal the number one thing that made us go,
Wow.
So, Wow Report on Radio Andy, SiriusXM, guys.
Come back.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And we're back. So, I always forget, do we do Resistor first or number one first?
Number 1 every time.
Okay. Time to reveal the number one thing that made us go, wow, this week. Tom, what is it?
Number 1.
This is a little bit of an update, and it's a little bit of a new story, and we're talking about Aaron Carter.
Oh, God bless him.
Last week, I think it was, we were talking about
it was
there
a
was
couple
the
weeks ago.
photos. He was very thin. He was angry at his brother for making their
He was
interpersonal
embroiled in a bit of controversy.
controversy.
Right, he'd had to cancel a show, right? And
There was speculation that he was back on drugs. There was a viral mugshot of him looking really pretty bad,
Yes.
a little down on his luck.
but
And
this
his
week-
first reaction, he rebelled. He was angry. But this week, he has come out saying he is bisexual. Is that
Yes.
correct?
He came out in a heartfelt Facebook post, or no, it was Instagram. It was an Instagram post in which he admitted that he has, since he was a young child, that he has been attracted to both boys and girls, and that that a couple years ago he experimented with a boy.
Hearts
but anyway,
united.
it's interesting because the way people were going in on him when he was was arrested, and the way people were just sort of piling on the hate and everything like that, and instantly it switched around, and there's nothing but love for him. And all the pictures that you see of him now have been photoshopped, and he looks fantastic. And it just feels like there's a weight that's been lifted off his shoulders. And I saw that he tweeted out the other day something about like, let's go on Will and Grace, and like he's like sort of really embracing it, and he's feeling the love from the community, which is what we want to happen. You know, like we want to say you are welcome in this under the umbrella. We love you and accept you for who you are. And God bless you, Aaron Carter. And now I have a chance. Oh my God!
James St. James is available. So, then our Resistor of the Week, it would be
Well, we're split on this one. Norman Lear,
Resistor of the Week.
Resistor of the Week. He, of course, is the great, creator of All in the Family and so many television
the Jeffersons.
epic television.
Kind of like Mr. Television.
He's still, I
really.
forget how old he is. He's in his 90s.
He's in his 90s,
They did One Day at a Time on Netflix. He's still like in the business. He's still producing. And he is getting a Kennedy Center Honors, which is so wonderful. And we talked about this last year because that's my favorite show because it airs after
Love
Christmas.
it, yeah.
I always cry. I always feel it's nostalgic.
But
And the
this
thing
year-
is, right, the Kennedy Center Honors, who gives them out?
Well, they're the Kennedy Center Honors nominate you. It's nothing to do with the president,
Okay.
but you sit next to the president in the balcony.
Right.
And last year we were yes.
Every year it is always a great honor to sit with Obama, to sit with Reagan or anything like that.
And every year people overlook the politics, and people have sat next to George Bush who are Democrats and whatnot.
Yes.
But now with Trump,
and we've even talked, amongst ourselves, saying, what are people going to do
what are you
this
gonna
year?
do?
This year, would
Norman
you accept
Lear
it?
is resisting a little bit, which is fine because he's going to accept it because you should, and
It's the biggest honor of your career.
But there is a reception, not the sitting and watching, but there's a reception at the White House with the president. And Norman Lear has decided to go public that he's boycotting that reception. And I think that's the right balance because you don't want to have him at 90, whatever, not be able to be, rewarded and recognized. And again, it comes from the Kennedy Center Honors. It doesn't come from the president. This isn't Trump
And
picking you.
like I say, it is one of the biggest awards you're ever going to get in your career.
And then Gloria Estefan is also getting one, and she has come out with a different point of view, which is she says, I'm going. She goes, this is perfect time. She's obviously Latin American, Cuban immigrant, and she's like, this is the perfect time to be face to face with the president, to have my voice be heard.
Yeah, and she has a whole little speech that she wants to say to him.
Last Christmas we were saying how during the last kind of how is it going to happen? What are people going to do? This is how they're doing it. They're approaching it different ways.
And then LL Cool J has said that he's going to put politics aside because this is the best thing that's ever happened to him. And then Lionel Richie, unfortunately, has come out and said that how excited he is to meet Trump.
Yeah.
But if I was getting a Kennedy Center honor, I wouldn't go. But I'm not getting one, so
it's interesting.
So it's easy to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do. I have no idea. I would like to think that I would boycott it and everything like that, but I'm such a hog for.
I would
attention.
perform
Prize
for both
whore.
of you. I would be I'd be singing a beautiful song to you both. On stage.
Thank you. But who's so Pauly
There's a
Shore is
tie.
our other resistor
Yes.
of the week, right?
Pauly Shore, who has been
not
sort of out of
getting-
he's been out of the spotlight for a number of years. He came back and was on Funny or Die. He did a skit in which he was portraying Stephen Miller, the white nationalist, anxious, obsequious little toadying man.
Well,
who's
he's not obsequious. He's like Squidward in SpongeBob, disagreeable, arrogant, scornful
but did
of
you
everybody
see him
else.
yesterday when he was saying that Trump is the greatest orator the world has ever seen, and there's never been a president quite like him, and just watching him suck up to
He's so
Trump.
evil looking.
Yeah.
To me, it's
Yes.
like, how can you even, for a moment, if you're the biggest Trump fan, how can you think that's a good guy?
Right.
You believe in
why,
Trump?
Why Trump would put that in front of the American audience? It's a whistle. It's a dog whistle to the white nationalists out there
guess.
and the alt right and everything like that. And Pauly Shore just came on and did a really fantastic
Does he
job.
do it? I
Knocked
haven't
it
seen it
out of
yet.
the park. You want him on Saturday Night Live. So somebody had mentioned they wanted Don Cheadle to play him because he's African American, and that it would, and he sort of has the same head
Oh my
shape
God,
and
that's a
everything like
genius
that.
idea.
And it would really drive him
Right.
and Trump crazy.
I want to get all the, I want to see the movie of all of these people in one movie together, don't you?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
Melissa McCarthy.
Well, it's coming. It is coming.
Right,
you know.
right.
Yeah. Well, what a week it's been, you guys.
That's all we have time for
We're
this
still
week.
here.
We are still here, and I hope we'll still be here on September 9th and 10th. DragCon, the first ever DragCon NYC
In New York.
at the Javits Center. Yeah.
And we're trying to work it out that we can do it live from the show.
We are going to do a show live from the
Live-ish.
from the floor, live-ish from the
Yeah, we're always
floor.
live-ish.
VIP tickets already sold out, but you can get weekend passes, single-day tickets, and tickets to both the 9 from 9 party, which is on Friday, September 8th,
Yeah.
and Battle on the Runway party on Saturday, September 9th. So that's all at RuPaul's DragCon.com.
We've had 3 in LA, and they're a blast. And
They are
you can
fantastic.
meet lots of the queens. The energy in the room is incredible. So if you love Drag Race, come. If you love being around like-minded, fluid, fun people, come. It's more than a fan
really
event.
magical.
It's
a
a real
magical,
family
warm event.
entertainment,
Yes.
isn't it? Yep. And check out our other shows, $1 Million Listings, Bravo, RuPaul's Drag Race Revealed, Logo, Island Hunters, HGTV. Thanks for tuning in. All these stories on the Wow Report.
And more.
worldofwonder.net/Radio Andy. You can watch us too. And, hey, same place, same time next week, right? Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
Wow. Bye. Bye, Blake.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.